Assalamu alaikum, sisters and brothers. Sulaiman Rahim here, breaker of the seven seals, messenger of the covenant. We're going to discuss the demon plan. The demon plan. Now, most of you, if you have been listening, should know what a demon is. Half man, half devil. A demon is the offspring of a devil, a male devil, but not a female devil. That's a demon because they look like the target enemy, walk like, but they're not. They're loyal. Their nature is loyal to the devils. The planet right now is plagued by devils and demons. They rule the planet. They roam the planet, seeking who they can devour. And they're devouring people left and right. They're destroying people left and right because of their camouflage capabilities. Because you can't recognize them. They look like you, walk like you, talk like you. And what happens is when a country discovers them, like in China, and they purge them, oh man, look at, they're killing people. That's against human rights and all this kind of stuff. See, they get you if you come that way, because that's what happened. Because what happened is that now they're not, they may not look at it as a demon problem, but they look at it as a problem that is, you're not faithful to the Chinese way of life. There's something wrong with you. They purge you. See, so they see the problem. They just don't identify it as we identify it. Because if you are not dedicated and loyal to the Chinese way of life, if you somehow dedicated to the European way of life, then they don't think they purge you. So it's the same thing. They coming from a different perspective, you see. But all countries are plagued by this problem. They don't understand this problem. They think the demons are some spiritual being somewhere, because prior to the unsealing of the Bible, the breaking of the seven seals, everything was in the spiritual realm. See? Because they was telling, oh, it's spiritual. It's out, you can't see it. But it's the same thing as an undercover person. They're not in the spiritual realm. They're in a realm that you can't, invisible realm, because you don't recognize them. They're around you all day long. They're in the physical, but you just don't recognize them. And that's the problem. See, because the devils and demons and dragon, all that stuff, they're totally visible. You just don't recognize them. So you think they're in some spiritual realm. That's one of the tricks. No, the angel reveals that all of it is in the physical realm. See? It's just characters, entities that you just don't recognize. They're roaming the planet. The demon and the devils just destroying everything, wiping out. They are cancer to the planet. The Quran tells you that. It says they're a burden to the earth. They said earth must relieve its burden. They're a burden to the earth. They're so diabolical, especially demons, the devils. I mean, they've done their evil, and now anybody has any sense to recognize them, because it's clear who they are, but not the demons. So the demons can go on doing the devil's work unseen. See? So we're going to talk about the demon plan, because it says no nation is plagued by demons more than us. 50%. Do you recognize that number? 50% of the blacks in America are demons. And see, we don't pay attention to those lessons that Matthew Robbins had. And those lessons are very powerful, because that was the light that he gave Elijah Muhammad. He gave it, that's the light he passed to him, and that's the light that Elijah Muhammad passed to Suleiman. Then Suleiman took that light, and that light, it gave him the power, right, to go after the angel, to find and go after the angel, and he made that like 7 times brighter. But it started out with the lessons. And one of the lessons talks about it being 17 million original people in America. And we go look at the statistics, right? And we know it wasn't 17 million black folks back there at that time it was talking about. It was talking about the future. See? He was talking about the future because now it's 34 million blacks in America, but only 17 million of them are original. That's what we're talking about. But see, they don't pay attention to lessons because they don't believe in it. They scrap those lessons, but they didn't understand them. They don't believe them anyway. That's why I said 17 million, because it's talking about now. It's 17 million original people left and 17 million demons, and that means half the people you know are probably demons. And you don't know them. They're your friends and everything else. They're your friends, your neighbors, your family members, right? Might be a spouse. They're all over you. We're plagued by demons. Read Mark. The man was plagued by it. Was so much so he was self-destructive. The demons had him in such a grip he was self-destructive. And so when we have to understand these things. You know, some of it we can look at it in very simple terms. But we had demons when we was on a plantation, you know, and chained plantation, because we still on the plantation America right now. But the demons, they were in Master's house because they was Master's children. So he allowed them in his house because he knew he could trust them, and they were spies against you because they had the Master's heart. They had Master's interest. It's like that movie Django. What was his name? Kevin or whatever. He was totally committed to his master. He had no connection to black folks other than the fact that his skin was black. And that's just not a movie. That was a good representation of how it was back there. If you was in the house, then you was Master's children. They would not let a few nigger in there because they couldn't trust them. They cut their throat or something. But he could let his children in because they had love for Master. In fact, it was incentive, right? Because they would really do Master rule because they wanted to be accepted by Daddy. They go overboard to obey Daddy and to work against you. The preacher was the same thing. You have the same thing going on right now. When you look on the movies, the TV, sports, all that kind of stuff, the only ones get there are Master's children. The only one get there are Master's children. So that's all you see. Because that's why every time they're talking, they're always talking in favor of Master, talking in favor of America, right? Favor of the American dream. They're always talking in favor because that's where their heart is. That's my separation. In the so-called civil rights movement, the whole idea was about integration, getting closer to Master. We had two groups. Those who wanted to get, the Martin Luther King group that want to get closer to Master, and those in Elijah Muhammad want to get the hell away from Master. So you had a separation. We've had that separation as long as we've been here. In every decade, that separation, that division manifests itself. Every 50 years, it really manifests itself. Because after so-called slavery was over, you had those that want to stay with Master on the plantation, the sharecroppers, and you had those who want to get away from Master. They ran to the cities. So we had this division. We've always had this division, but we didn't recognize what the division was. So Master, he get them, they are agents and everything else. They come in the community, and you don't recognize them, and they report to Master 24/7, and you can understand why what's going on. It's just like the so-called Black Panthers. When I came back from Vietnam, right, around 1970, right, I went to Orange. My uncle lived in Orange, and they had an office. Black Panthers had an office there in Orange. And when they came out of the office, there was a whole bunch of them. And every one of those Negroes had a white girl on his arm. Every one of them, they come out there tam and everything else, but every one had a white girl's arm. And they couldn't understand why the government was taking them down, and the government knew everything they was doing. But that's another way using Master's daughter. That's another thing, That's another weapon they use. Elijah Muhammad talked about that weapon. But the demon weapon, Elijah Muhammad didn't talk about the demon weapon. Now, whether he understood it or knew, I don't know, but he never talked about the demon weapon. But that's the worst weapon. It said that's the weapon that Superman would have to go to. That's his first battle. It's that demon weapon. And among the demon weapons, one is the most diabolical, the worst one of all. And that's the one associated with Legion. That's why he's mentioned by name, Legion. and Mark, because he was the most, because he was the leader. He was the chief demon. Because you got the preachers, see, their demonic plan is religion. Keep you out of the mental zone into the heart zone. See, keep you there away from the mental. Because religion, if you're in religion, then you're not in the mental zone. You cannot be, because there's nothing mental about religion. There's nothing factual about it. Right? It's nothing logical about it. Right? It's nothing mathematical about it. It's totally in the social. It's totally in the heart zone. So that their job is to keep you in the heart zone and keep you loyal to Master. That's the demon plan on the preachers. And then you got the sports, right? Those are role model. Be like me. If you be like me and serve Master like me, right? And those are the ones. See, those. That's the same tactic applied during so-called chain slavery, because this house niggas. See, the Master would parade house niggas around and make you think that if you was a good loyal Negro in the field, right, then you could be like them. See, you can be in a house like them. You can dress like them. See, you can act like them. You ain't got to work 24/7. You can have nice clothes. You have decent food. See, and you have a measure of respect. So if you be like, if you serve Master and you obey Master, you would never be like them. See, but he could put that dangle that little worm, that little trick in your face, and you say, oh man, and because everybody who want to be in the field, working 24/7, busting your ass, being raped, murdered, killed, and working 24/7, right? In proper clothes, garbage to eat. Who in the world wants that? When you can be like Master's house. But you was never going to get in Master's house because you wasn't one of Master's children. But he held it out as a center. Right, man? If you be good, if you be loyal, and you work hard, then you could be promoted to be in Master's house too, which was never going to happen. Just a little segue here. See, that's the same thing they did with our women. Because they would have women, our women out there in the fields naked, buck naked. And you better not touch them. See? But if you did 10 bales, see, if the average was 3 or 4 bales of hay a day, see, average. If you did 7, you could have Sarah on the weekend. See, you could sleep with Sarah on the weekend. That was your center, because that's the only way you was gonna sleep with Sarah. And then if 2 or 3 of you did 7, or 2 or 3 of you could sleep with Sarah on the weekend, unless they had 2 or 3 Sarah and Amelia and something else out there. And that's what this idea about gang rape. They call it train. That's what idea from a whole bunch of guys rape one girl. Where that came from. See? So then at the weekend, now all y'all gang up on Sarah. See? And you be working hard because that's the only way you're gonna see a woman. That's the things they used to do. And they still do it today to some extent today. It's got a different name for it. So you had those, they was the role model. They live in the house. And you can be like me. You can be like Oprah. You can be like Denzel. You can be like any of these. You can be like LeBron. See? All you gotta do is, Master, be loyal. Work for Master. Work hard. And one day you can be like that too, but you was never going to be like that ever. That's the incentive. So it gets you to start thinking that direction. See? Because the whole thing is about avoiding people, especially now. That's the whole purpose. Because from the time Master Muhammad steps foot on the shores of America and impregnated our nation, because we still wasn't a nation, we were just a dead nation. He revived it. He impregnated, put life in it. From the time he did that, we entered to the womb phase, and they've been at war with us. See? But they didn't come directly. They sent the demons in. They had a hard time. See, Elijah Muhammad was able to fight off the demons. Like I said, I don't know if he knew what a demon was or not. He never mentioned them. But he was able to fight off the demons as long as he was around, because FOI they was protecting our nation, right? That was developing in the womb. See? They was protecting it. See? And so they kept the demons out. See? Well, I put it this way. They kept the demons, they immobilized the demons because there was demons. The chief demon was amongst them, but he just couldn't do anything. They had to wait his time because FY was strong enough to keep him from doing anything. They was in there. They just couldn't do anything. So FY was defending the demons, protecting them. I mean, was protecting our nation as we was developing in the womb that Master Muhammad impregnated. See? So after Elijah Muhammad's departure, then the demons saw the opportunity and they came in and they neutralized all of the FY. They neutralized them. So there, our nation had no defense. It was developing the womb, but no defense. And there was a 15-year period of darkness where a lot of our people was lost. See? But the demons was gaining strength during that period. They was gaining strength during that period. See? Up until 1990, when Suleiman came on the scene, and he was able to take that light lessons and combine it with the angel and light 7 times brighter than they had before, enough to start illuminating the womb. It was intense darkness for 15 years because the demons was in there and there was nothing opposing them. And they was aborting our people left and right. See? And you see it's worse now because they've gotten stronger and stronger and stronger. And the pull, the magnetic pull on our people has gotten greater and greater and greater. The gravitational vortex is so strong that it's almost impossible to break. But see, that's not the most diabolical. Is the one the scriptures talk about, is the one that was so deceptive it would almost get the elect if it was possible. That one was so diabolical that it would almost get the elect. Think about that. If it almost got the elect, but it couldn't, it got all those that are very close to the elect. And that's a lot of our people. They were very close to the elect, very close, but it got them. It just couldn't get the elect. So if you was 98% pure, they could get you. If you was 90% pure gold, they could get you. If you was 99% pure gold, they could get you. They just couldn't get the 100% pure gold. They just couldn't get it. The one, that's Legion. That's why he was a chief demon and Legion. He was the main one that Suleiman had to go to war with because he had the worst of the plans against us. The strongest, the most powerful one. He had like an insurance policy because our people was being snatched, being aborted left and right. Following these demons, I want to be like Denzel, right? Going and turning gay and all this other stuff they doing to him. Right? And they was out there. See, most of them was being destroyed by the preachers. The preachers got a lot of them. Preachers got most of them because self-imposed energy deprivation, teaching them to take the energy they have instead of developing themselves in the womb, preparing for life outside the womb. They was wasting energy inside the womb, deforming themselves. Because they wasn't using that energy for self-development and for nation. They was using it to party and eat pork and all stuff that was against them. That self-imposed energy deprivation. That's what religion was doing for them. They wiped out most of our people on that level right alone. Because our people are suffering now. Even this plague that's not supposed to touch them, they're being suffered through it because they have these underlying conditions, hypertension, diabetes, and everything else, right? So it's taking them out too, but it shouldn't be because the preachers teaching them to misuse their energy in self-imposed energy deprivation. That was the most worst of all of. That's the religion is the worst almost all the plans. Because you got the role model plans. I'm gonna be like Oprah, all that kind of stuff, right? Which strips you up. But the one religion, that's the worst one of all. The preachers. Because it took away, it's taking away our people day and night right now. It's keeping them on the heart level, right? But it's teaching them to misuse their energy. See, the purpose of being in the womb is that you focus all your energy on self-development and nation. Because you locked from everything else is blocked. So you can't focus on anything else. So you come forth with all your toes, with all your fingers, your eyesight, everything is because all your energy was used to develop that. But if your energy start being used to do other things, then you come forth deformed because you didn't develop properly. Because your energy was used for other things other than self-development. Because the womb, that's the only thing it's supposed to be used for. And that's what the preachers do to get you to use it for other things. See? See, we're not suffering from energy deprivation anymore. But we are suffering from self-imposed energy deprivation. And that's what the preachers do. See, they're the demons, and that's their demon plan. But the most diabolical, the most diabolical of it is the Legion, Louis Eugene Grounds of NOI backwards FARRAKHAN plan, because it had like an insurance policy. Because that one was going after the very elect. But remember, it fell short of getting the very elect. But look, all those that was very close to the very elect. That's like 50% of our people. Let me put it this way. When Elijah Muhammad was here, most of his people that was following, that was supporting him, wasn't even in the nation. He had more people outside the nation that were supporting him than inside the nation, because they were supporting, they believed in him, they understood what he said, they followed a lot of things he said to do, they followed his guidance, they didn't come in the nation. Anybody who was around would tell you that. He owned Newark, he owned Philly, he owned Watts, he owned Detroit, he owned Chicago, he owned all these places with blacks, Atlanta, he owned all that because he had more blacks that was out of the nation that was supporting him that was actually in the nation. So if you say that there was like 100,000 in the nation, there might have been 500,000 outside the nation that was supporting Elijah Muhammad. He had a lot of support amongst blacks. He was respected. They might not have came in, but they still respected him. And they respect what he said, and they listened to him, and they followed his guidance. They just wasn't registered for whatever reason. That's a fact. So when you understand that fact, then you know that what's happening is that there's 144,000 that's pure gold, but there may be 5 or 6 million that's very close. It's very close. It's sympathetic. See? They're still even sympathetic to Elijah's teachings even now, and they're also sympathetic to Suleiman. You understand? Because 145,000 don't reveal themselves until the nation is born. So when you understand that, and you say if there's 144,000 that actually come forth, and you say that maybe it's 10 times as many, that would put you at 1,400,000, right? Out there, that's sympathetic. That's almost, those are the ones that FARRAKHAN gets. Trying to get the elect, which he said he cannot get. He says, if it was possible, he would get it. He said the deception would be so great that it would get the very elect if it was possible. So they came that close to getting them, they just couldn't get them. But they get the other group I just mentioned, the other 10 times as many, the sympathetic group, they get them because they're 98%, 90%, and then in that percentile, they're very close. And see, we got a time frame here. We can't, if they went another 10 years, maybe that's why Master Muhammad's waiting, because they went another 10 years, maybe they'll be pure. If they stayed in the furnace another 10 years, they'll be pure. But we don't have that kind of time, dude. We have a time frame here. So we have to cut off switch. A certain time, we have to cut that furnace off. So you have to be, if you ain't pure by then, because if you leave stuff in furnace long enough, it's going to become pure. But we got a time frame. And a certain time, right, you have to be certified. And all those that certified at that time, they pull out. But we do have this backup, as that's called the time of they're in the what you call it now, incubator. They get that little period of time called tribulation as a makeup, but that's it. You got a cut-off period here. See, because the war is going to break. It's like a woman's pregnant. After 9 months, I mean, you got a time frame there. If it ain't done in 9 months, it ain't going to be done. Then the water breaks, it's over. And the war is going to break soon. If when the water breaks, nation come forth. If they don't come forth pure gold, you understand what I'm saying? Only the pure gold is the one's going to be accepted. If you come forth deformed, If you come forth, you might, what do you call it? Uh, when you're not premature, if you come forth premature, then you got the option of being an incubator. You understand? But the only ones accept is the ones that's fully developed, and that's the 144,000. And so, how does the Legion plan work? Because now you got this, say, 10%, that'd be 1.5 million. That's that close. Those are the ones you get. Because the whole idea is it's like a backup plan. So in other words, the whole idea is to convince you that this is the only game in town. Convince you that America is it. There's no options. That's the essence of the plan. Convince you there are no options. That's why he tells you about the Abrahamic covenant, but he tells you in the same breath, you're not going anywhere. Aside from the fact he called God a liar, Master Muhammad a liar, and Elijah Muhammad's work in vain, worthless, but still, no, that's what he's telling you. So he's telling you that even if you know about the Abrahamic covenant, you ain't going anywhere. So it means this is the only game in town. And any wise man would tell you, any wise woman would tell you, unless you want to commit suicide, that this is the only game in town, then you want to be successful for yourself and your family. You want to get into the game and you want to be the best at it. You want to be successful for yourself and your family. If this is the only game in town, if America is it, the American dream is it, it means you invest 100%. If you want to be successful, the more you invest, the more successful you are. And that's the essence of that diabolical plan. Because once they convince you of that, see, because they tried to convince me of that. We're not talking about Sunnism and stuff here at the point. That's another thing. That's Sunnism. See, that's part of it. I'm talking about this particular plan. See? Because this plan, see, the Sunnism, I avoided. That was easy to avoid those things. You could avoid those if you had any understanding about things at all. But this one, if they can convince you of that, or if they can convince 144,000, then they would get them too. They would have boarded them. They would have boarded me, because if I thought this was the only game in town, of course, unless I want to commit suicide, I'll be right in it 100%. I was in it. I was very successful until I understood, came in contact with the angel, understood the angel, and realized what was really going on. And I divested myself of this. I realized what was going on because I was being pulled into this gravitational vortex too. I was very successful. You have to take my word for it. I was very successful. Everybody knows I was very successful. See? Set my roots down into the American dream. You see? And then I realized what the game was, the plan was. I understood what the trap was. The demon plan. It really should call it the demon trap. See? Once I cut all attachments immediately. I got some help because I had a demon wife at the time, and she was, she wasn't down with the angel. So she destroyed half, so I didn't have to worry about half of it. She destroyed a lot of it herself, right? She got rid of a lot of it herself, so I smiled. I never tried to replace it. I could have. Because I saw the demon plan, I saw the demon, demon trap. Because once they convince you of that, then you start letting your roots go deep into the American dream. The longer you go, the deeper. And especially the closer you get to Farrakhan, the deeper those roots are going to get, because you ain't going nowhere. So you really want to be successful. So your roots start going deeper and deeper and deeper into the American dream, the American reality. It gets deeper and deeper. See? And what's the effect of that? Because when Suleiman comes along, remember, you're close to the elect. You want to see the Abraham. And so you recognize him. Bam. Because you got, remember, you got past all other stuff. You got past the role models. See? You got past the religion. Because a lot of brothers and sisters out there, they was past the religion. They was past that role model stuff. See? A lot of them call themselves still in NOI. They was past all that. They was past the role model stuff. They was past the religious stuff. They got past all of that. See? And they claimed, they thought they was with Elijah Muhammad, some of them, right? Because they claim they were Farrakhan. He's playing Elijah Muhammad's song. They they think they were Elijah. I'm just talking about the ones that call themselves with Farrakhan. I'm not talking about the ones outside that still that still influenced by Elijah. Because a lot of people, you got more people outside of Farrakhan's group that was sympathetic with Elijah Muhammad than inside. There's a lot of people that's still sympathetic to the idea, right? And Farrakhan playing the music to attract them, playing Elijah Muhammad's music, but he's giving you the devil's lyrics. The point I'm trying to make here is you got all these people, okay, that's in and outside of Farrakhan's influence, right? They're still influenced because they're the seed of Abraham, still influenced, right, by the messenger's teachings when he was available. They gave up pork. See? They gave all that stuff. See? But the thing is Farrakhan convinced them that there's no option but America. Now, just think that one through very carefully. So now you got the messenger spirit, see? But you got the devil's lyrics. You got Elijah Muhammad's music, but you got the devil's lyrics. And those lyrics are going deeper and deeper into the devil's reality. Those are the roots. Like, you see, like they say, he lays roots down. I forget how to use it, but to say, in other words, you settle somewhere, you put roots down. Your roots go deeper and deeper into his reality. But you got the spirit. You got Elijah's spirit because you ain't eating pork no more. You're trying to do the right. You're trying to you've overcome this Christianity, religion, and stuff. You got millions of people in that category, but they're not the elect. They're not 100% pure. And those are the ones Farrakhan get, because once he convinced them that there is no other choice, then their roots go deep, 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 deep. So what happened is, but remember, they still Abraham's seed. They're still original people, see, who can be influenced by the angel. So some of them, they see, because remember, what happened? When you read Book of Mark, they said when Suleiman showed up, they saw him from afar. They saw him from afar, so they ran. They ran to him to submit. The story, isn't it? They ran to him to submit. They ran to him to submit. They saw him from afar, so they was able to see him. But what happened? The Legion stopped it. He put so fast, he put the brakes on it. That's what the story is trying to tell you. Because they was able to see, but they was locked down by Farrakhan, deceived by him. Their roots were so deep in this reality that even if they could see him, they couldn't do anything. They couldn't do anything. That was the problem. They could see him, but they couldn't do anything. It's like a deer. It's like you stand in the middle of the road and your feet stuck in the pavement, but you see a Mack truck coming at you 100 miles an hour, and you can see it coming. You got time to get out the way, but you can't get out the way because your feet are locked in the pavement. That's the most diabolical plan, because that's what it's getting at 89. And I see it because most of the people that's come my way over the years has been in that category. They recognize me, but they are so stuck in this reality, they can't break loose. So they like that person standing in the road. Oh, here comes the Mack truck. I can see it, but I can't move. Can't get out the way. So they can't get out the way. And so they get angry with me because somehow I'm supposed to stop the Mack truck or something. See, because they can't get their feet unstuck from the pavement. They can't. They, because they thought that this was the only game in town. Their roots went deep in it. So now they got a mortgage. That's a yoke around their neck. They got a mortgage. And how they pay off that mortgage? They got to work for Master. See, they're getting deeper and deeper into Master's reality. Then they got student loans. They got credit. They all this stuff. That's all parts of American dream credit. That's a trap in itself. So their roots are so deep. Property, all this stuff they built in. And after you've done years and longer you've been with Farrakhan, the worse it gets. Because you spent years and years building this, and now you're supposed to get rid of it overnight. You can't do that. Most people just can't do it. It's too hard to do. Now I spent years building it. You tell me I got to get rid of it overnight. See? Because you can't hold on to that and go to hereafter too. You got to let this world go to go to hereafter. They can't do it. But they want to go to hereafter, but they can't let this world go. That's why it says Allah will lift you up, but you cling to the earth because you hold on. But He can't lift you up because you hold on to this dream. Because you done put so much time and effort in it. And I can understand that. If I was in that situation, that's why I made sure I would not be in that situation. Because our situation, I had an issue too. I spent, years, 30 years doing that. I got houses, living in a mansion, right? I'm driving around in my BMW, right? And all this stuff, right? I'm accumulated, and all of a sudden, you tell me we getting ready to leave and leave all this behind, and I gotta take your word for it. I gotta get rid of this. A dream that you tell me there's a promised land somewhere. I gotta get rid of this. Because when I go there, I'm not gonna have any of this. I don't know what I'm gonna have. That's a hard call. That's a hard call. And they can't answer it. They hear the call, but they can't answer it. It says, many will be called, but few will be chosen. That's that dream. And like I said, many over the years have come my way, and they were in that category, and they just could not keep up. They just couldn't, because they couldn't detach themselves. They just couldn't do it. It wasn't that they was against it. They didn't believe. They believed. Someone really believed. They really believed. They just couldn't detach themselves. Their roots was too deep. They just couldn't break them. They couldn't cut loose from them. They could understand me, but they saw I had no attachments, and they knew I used to have attachments, and I could have a lot now. I have my business I could reinstate anytime I want to. I could always get people. If you look at my email, I get calls for people to come in for me to do contract work all the time. But I don't have any more attachments because I understood what the demon plan was. You see? The demon trap. 30 years ago, and I cut all ties. I have a mortgage. I could. No tie, any ties, nothing I can't cut loose. All I have is what I need to survive, to get this message across, to live in a decent manner. As long as we're here, you got to take care of yourself. You got to provide for yourself. That's basic attachments that I could drop any day. It has no issue whatsoever. But they could not do it. Their roots are so deep. And it's sad. Because here they're looking at the angel and they say, oh man, I love that. And I want to be with some, but I can't cut this other stuff loose, man. I'm too deep. And you can sympathize with it, but that's their destruction. Because they got to cut it loose. It ain't no ifs, ands, and buts about it. You get angry with me, whatever, right? Ain't no ifs, ands, and buts. You got to cut it loose. You got to cut loose this dream 100%. The scriptures tell you that. It said you got to cut loose all attachment, mother, father, brother, sister, anything that's attached to this American dream, American reality. You have to cut it loose, period, 100%. You got to be scalpel. And you can't do it. Because the longer you've been with Farrakhan, especially those with Farrakhan, the harder it is to do. Because he tricked you. That was a trap. Because I said, if they could convince me that America was the only game in town, there was no other choice, I'd be in that category too. They couldn't convince the 144,000 of that. But they were able to convince those that was 99% pure 98% pure, 97% pure, 95% pure. They was able to get them. They just couldn't get the 100% pure. And it says they tried. They said the deception be so great, it would even get them if they would even deceive the elect if it was possible. See? Because their target is elect, and their target is me. I get all kinds of opportunities. Oh man, cause you can do this, brother. You can get it this. You can get that. You can get this, man. You can be driving around a Lamborghini, which I could have. I know I was talking about a Hummer one time. I thought that was like an interesting car. Oh man, I had all kinds of opportunities. I'm not going. I'm not going to get locked down into that in this American dream, especially if I'm representing Angel. I'm representing 145,000. I got to be an example of what I'm talking about. And that's the demon plot, the demon plan, the demon trap. It's like an insurance policy. But even if you get to the point, when I say, why do I say insurance policy? Because even if you get to the point where you recognize Suleiman, oh, I recognize him. I want to get down with him. You can't. You see how dangerous that is? Now you recognize them. You see the Mack truck come. I see it, man. And then when you go to move, you can't move because your feet stuck in the pavement. You see how diabolical that is? So all of those, they see, that's what I said, they saw Suleiman remark, and they ran towards him. They recognized him. But the demons was able to stop him. How? Because their roots, because they had deceived them, so their roots were so stuck in the ground that they were so deep. The longer you was Farrakhan, the deeper it got, you could not extricate yourself from it. So you go down, having knowledge of angel, you haven't recognized Suleiman, you know it all. But you go down to defeat and destruction, because you just could not sever ties. It was just too hard for you. The deeper your roots were, it's just too hard. It's just too hard. And that's the demon trap. That's why they're associated, they give you his name, Legion. Those are the people that will recognize him. That's why it says, when they saw that these people recognized Suleiman, they saw him, they said they saw him from afar and they ran towards him. That's how they recognized it. They was enthusiastic about him. But the demons, Legion was able to put a squat. Hey, hold on. He was able to stop it. What are you doing? The demons had control of these people. Even though they saw Suleiman, the demons still had control of them. Why? Because they had control of their minds, because they had already deceived them and making them put their roots down into the American dream so deep that they couldn't do anything anyway. Even if they saw Suleiman, they could not help them. They couldn't do anything because they could not sever themselves from this American dream. Hope you understand, brothers and sisters. I'm not going to take it. I think I'm going to leave it there. But that's the demon plan, the demon trap that they have set. And it's like an insurance policy. And this is what Farrakhan, that was his trap. All the demons had some trap aspects. There were different types of traps. But this one was like the most diabolical. And this one reached into almost in the heaven to get the very elect. And it came very close. But remember, close is still a lot. Because most of them, the pure gold, that was only a small percentage. Those that was close to purity was 100 times more percentage greater than that. So it was like 144. Like I said, it was 144,000. That was pure gold. There might have been 1,400,000. That was very close, and those are the ones he got. So now they see, and that's why they go to the incubator, because when the incubator comes, they are cut off. They have no choice. That's the problem. See, you have a choice right now to separate and be 100% and get the hell out of here without going through tribulation. But the tribulation, like the incubator, it cuts all that off for you. All that stuff will be cut off for you, so you will be cut off. Now the issue now is that can you withstand the heat? But now it's all about just the furnace. Can you withstand the heat and become from 98% to 100%? You understand? You understand how I put this stuff together? See, incubator, that's the incubator is sister, excuse me, my The incubator is the tribulation period. Excuse me, like I'm still trying to recover here. Incubator is a tribulation period. But during tribulation, you had a choice to cut all ties. You had that choice before birth. While you're still in the womb, you had that choice to cut all the ties and finish your development. Once Suleiman enlightened you, you saw the light. You saw the Mack truck coming. And your feet was planted in the pavement. You still could have cut yourself away. You still had time to do it. But you didn't. Because your roots were so deep. And it was just too hard. So you had time to do it while you're still in the womb, before the water breaks and the baby's given and we come forth as a nation. You still had time to do it then. And then finish your development. Because you already developed in 98%. You got that far. You got past religion, all this stuff. So you developed, you was almost 100% ready for birth. Because at birth time, the child is 100%. If the child comes forth healthy, he's 100%, right? Pure gold. I mean, he's 100%. If he comes forth healthy and all his parts and everything, that's 100%. But some children don't come forth 100%. They need to be in an incubator. Some of them come forth deformed. They don't have all their fingers and all that kind of stuff. So at time of birth, 100%, they come forth an army. They're ready. They come forth 100% ready. Not only was they completely formed in the womb, but they was also totally ready for life outside the womb, because they come through in a time of tribulation. So that means they come forth as an army, prepared, right, for life outside the womb. And so during this time, you had those that was 98, 99, they had a chance to cut those ties. Those were deceived by FARRAKHAN. They had opportunity to cut those ties while they were yet in the womb. But when they didn't, they couldn't. And once the birth took place, right, they still wasn't fully developed. So they end up going into incubators. That's a tribulation period. Because during that time, all that stuff is cut off. They cut off an American dream, because there will be no American dream during tribulation. That's cut off. Because when Master Muhammad takes down false Israel, that's the cornerstone of the American, of the European reality, which is in America is the American dream. That comes to a screeching halt, is cut down. So in the tribulation, it's not there anymore. So they don't have to worry about that anymore, but they still not 100%. So the incubator they can go ahead and finish their development process in the intense heat of the furnace of tribulation. Because they had a choice, they didn't take that choice. So now they have opportunity to finish their development in that tribulation period. Hope you understand, brothers and sisters, how this works. That's how diabolical that plan was. And a lot of people, even in tribulation, even with all the ties cut, they still not going to be able to make it to 100% pure before the furnace is turned off. Not going to be able to do it, because tribulation period is not going to last forever. It lasts about a year. Once the furnace is cut off, if you're not 100% pure by then, you're through. You're thrown out with the trash, because we only want 100% pure. And if you're going 58%, you ain't going to be, ain't no sense, even though there's no sense even putting you in an incubator. But if you're 88%, 99%, 98, 97%, right? But your incubator, that's a tribulation, because you didn't have to, you just could not see yourself separating from the devil's reality, cutting that mortgage, all that stuff. You couldn't see that. But now, during tribulation, all that's cut. It's cut for you. Master Muhammad virtually just cut it for you, because he took down the cornerstone of it. So he cut that away for you. He did that for you. But now you got to go to a tribulation, the incubator, because you didn't do it in time. Hope you understand, brothers and sisters. I'm trying to make it clear enough for you as possible. That's my plan. So diabolical. Even if you see Suleiman, you still can't do a damn thing. You get excited, everything, but then you realize you got roots so deep you can't do anything. Because he calls you to keep up and you can't keep up. You're puffing and puffing. Then you get mad. I can't keep up with you. You got to slow down. No, I'm not going to slow down. Because now you want me to slow down because you can't keep up. I'm not going to slow down because you can't keep up. I got to keep up with Master Muhammad. If I slow down for you, that means all our people are lost, because I have to keep my pace with him. So you know to keep pace with me. Because said 145,000 followed him wherever he went. They kept pace with him because we're moving forward into time, transforming energy from one form to another. And Master Muhammad is leading that march. He's leading that battle, and we have to keep up with him. Otherwise, if we're not part of, if we're not part of the end of the transformation process, and we're part of the energy that's being transformed. That means we're being destroyed. If you have a house that you want to build a house, and there's a house there, you got to demolish that house, and then you can use that material to build your new house. See? So what do you want to be? You want to be the house that got demolished, and they use material to build a new house. That means, or you want to be the end result. So I'm not going to slow down. And they get angry. Oh, brother, yeah, they got excuses and everything. That's your problem, brother. You allowed yourself to be deceived by Farrakhan. That's on you. I sympathize to some extent because, especially for those brothers and sisters never seen Elijah, so they got pulled in by Elijah's music. That's what Farrakhan used. I'm sympathetic with that, but still, that's the situation. That does happen. But see, the problem is you did have a chance. Even after all that, you still had a chance to cut all that loose before it was too late and you didn't do it. So you're going to get mad at me. And I'm not slowing down because you can't keep up. And that's how I lost so many people in the past because they just couldn't keep up. They wanted to. They're huffing and puffing. I can't get out with you. So I used to get flyers out. There's all kinds of stuff before the internet. Right? I used to put flyers out. I used to give talks, right? Conferences, gather people together. I used to do all kinds of stuff like that before the internet came. I was out there getting the message about it, right? And people was getting involved, but like I said, they could not keep up. They just not keep up. Oh man, I can't be with you this weekend. I gotta work. I gotta do overtime. I got this mortgage I gotta take care of. Right? I got these things, distractions. Because when the mess was around, you said FY, you had no distractions. And they see me, I'm 100%. And I'm telling you, brother and sister, you gotta be 100% too to keep up with me. And they couldn't do that. They just couldn't do it. 80%, whatever you couldn't keep up. You're huffing and puffing. I'm not gonna slow down. Brother, just a little bit. No, I'm not slowing down at all. You're gonna have to stand up and make that cut. Cut the roots. I'm not slowing down. If you want to keep up, you gotta cut those roots. Because really, I'm trying to help you. But I'm trying to get you to do that before. Wow, it's your choice. And you can fast, develop yourself, and so you can be part of the 140,000 when the birth comes, or you can keep a hold on to that. See? And then when the birth happens, right, you're not 100%. So now you got to go in the incubator. You got to go to the tribulation period. That's on you, brothers. I ain't worried about the sisters. The sisters a whole different thing. See, we don't dog our sisters here. I don't. Not Master Muhammad didn't. Muhammad didn't, and I don't. We protect our sisters. And after 400 years of hell, we're going to take it and dish them and tell them and judge them and everything else. And then, what planet you on? What the hell is wrong with you? No, we don't do that. This is all about protecting these sisters. See? So it's their time now. Unless, like I said, unless they're murdering their babies or doing other things that's totally against this nation willingly, or they out there, they want to be prostitutes willingly, they're not any duress to do it. They just want to do it. If they're that type of person, right? Or if they especially, if they get accused of being disobedient, being hateful, and disrespectful to their parents, otherwise, we have no issues with the sisters, none at all. They move right on to paradise. They're no threat. They don't carry the seed. And plus, they've been warriors for 450 years, and we're supposed to, almost 500 years, and we're supposed to protect them. We didn't. So now the time is now our time has come. And then we're going to put them on the line. Now it's the time to show our protection, put our embrace around them and protect them, make sure nothing happens to them. They walk into the kingdom, no problem, because I'm not going to sit in judgment of them. Now I don't know anyone else who will. You understand, brothers and sisters? The demon plot, the demon plan, the demon trap, whatever you want to call it, is diabolical, and that's the problem. Like I said, it's designed to catch the elect, if possible, but those who are very close to the elect that would have that. Because remember, if they had built the bridge like they were supposed to from Elijah to Suleiman, those people would never. As soon as they saw Suleiman, that's been the end of it. Bam, they would have got themselves 100% pure. When the birth came, we'll be talking about the birth of maybe 2 or 3 million instead of 144,000, or maybe even more. See? Because they was like 98, 97, and then once angel hit them, that would be enough to increase their purity to 100%. But because Farrakhan was in there, because remember, they wouldn't have had the attachments they had, because they wouldn't have been thinking, they wouldn't probably have had no attachments at all, because they would have knew about the Abrahamic covenant from Elijah. And if our people knew about the Abrahamic covenant, maybe most of them would have been delivered. Just think about it. All our people were aware of the Abrahamic covenant. Remember, they killed Martin Luther King because he spoke on the promise and they told him not to, and he did. If all our people was aware of the Abrahamic covenant, from when Elijah Muhammad departed, and NOI had kept on with that message, building that bridge between Elijah and Suleiman, almost all our people would have made it, because they wouldn't have set roots down in America. Because most of our people didn't want to set roots down in America. This was the demons that was doing it. Most of our people didn't want to anyway. They wanted to separate. But Farrakhan's genius was to convince them that this was the only game in town. There was no promised land. And that's how they tricked the people, how they trapped them. Because if he wasn't doing that, and I had stood and built that bridge, our people would not have dug roots down in this American dream, because they would stay patient for the hereafter, for the promised land, and they would have been trapped in this credit trap, in this mortgage trap, all that kind of stuff. They wouldn't have been trapped in that, and they'd been ready to leave as soon as the word said go. You understand? Almost all our people would have made it. You see how dangerous Farrakhan is, how evil, how wicked that plan was, that trap, how it took so many of our people. So our people lost a lack of knowledge. And NOI has a lot to answer for, because if they had stood fast and not been seen by Farrakhan, Farrakhan wouldn't have been able to do what he did. So almost all our people would have made it. Almost all of them, because they wouldn't have had roots dug down into this reality. But that was the genius of Farrakhan to convince him that this was the only game in town. Because a lot of people didn't believe that, even when Marcus Garvey came along. That's why I had to get rid of him. A lot of people left the country, went to Liberia. They didn't think this was the only game in town. This came about mostly during the Civil Rights Movement. That idea started really taking root again, and became mature and developed under Farrakhan. Because most of our people don't think we're going anywhere. Those with Farrakhan, they totally don't. And these are people claim they believe in Elijah. They don't believe we're going anywhere. They've gave up the Abrahamic covenant. Most of our people don't even know about the Abrahamic covenant. You understand, brothers and sisters, what this is all about? That's what all this demon trap is all about. Getting rid of the idea of the Abrahamic covenant. That's why Suleiman is so dangerous, because he's telling them again, you do have a choice. And 144,000 is picking up on that. Because once they get you to understand that you have no choice, that's the beginning. That's what it is. That's the trap. Because any intelligent person is going to take and try to make whatever situation, that's the only situation there is, to make it the best they can. Who wouldn't do that? So if you think the American dream is the only thing, that you're going to get involved in America, make America great again. You're going to get involved in America, the politics and everything else. You see, you're going to get deep, deep, deep into it because you want to make it better. Why? For your children and their children and your family and yourself. So you're going to be 100% in the American dream. That you don't understand, that's your destruction. Because the deeper you get into it, the harder it is to extricate. If you're stuck in it, you're going to be destroyed in it. Hope you understand, brothers and sisters. Demon trap. Understand that demon trap. It ain't too late for some of you, but you can't do it. Yeah, I'm not sure if it's too late because, no, it may, yeah, it probably may be too late because my opinion is Master Muhammad is going into action very soon. Very soon. So many of you will end up going to be put in incubator. 144,000, that army is about to come forth. The war is about to break. And that army is coming forth, ready for battle. And Suleiman is going to lead them because he's a general on the ground. Master Muhammad, he's like the air. He's going to lead 144,000. That's going to crush all the nations. But many of you are going to end up in the incubator. And many of you too far going, you're not even going to get the chance to get the incubator. That's the situation, bro. Now, you might not like that analogy, but it's a solid analogy. That's just the way it's going to be. While we have a tribulation, it says tribulation give you a chance to get yourself together. Isn't that what happens with that? That's what incubator does. We're in the womb, right? So, before you give birth, you have to be in the womb, right? So the birth is imminent. The water has to break. So that's why I say the Injil is a mathematical book. The Quran is a mathematical book. And our lives, our reality is mathematical. So you can blend the two together. You can use the same concepts and apply them in different ways. Because this concept, our situation, is analogous to a woman giving birth, because it's the same thing. Because we're giving birth to a new nation, it has to be conceived, right? It has to go through, right? It has to go through the womb, development. It has to be nourished, right? Protected. Then the water has to break, and then it comes forth. It has to come forth prepared for the environment that is that there was environment that's going to be born into. So if it's born into an environment of war, then that means it has to come forth as a warrior. Brothers and sisters. So you can use that analogy. It's a perfect analogy. You understand the analogy. I'm going to say as I'm close. Those of you who want to try to explain or try to be involved, make sure you understand the principle before you start talking about it, because otherwise you make yourself look silly. Make sure you understand the principle before you talk about it. I don't have use, because everything I talk about, you could talk about. You can use anything I said, because that's the whole, I'm giving you information so you can use it, but make sure you understand it. Don't just jump out there with something. Talk about things that you got a firm grip on. That's where you're effective. You're not impressing anybody. Talk about things that you don't, that you're confused on, that doesn't make any sense, that you don't understand, have a firm grip on. Because then you're called to prove it and explain, and you can't. And then people say, why are you talking about something you don't understand? You see, that makes you think, make them think that you don't understand nothing, and that you don't even understand the Injil. You just somebody following somebody. Make sure you understand. Like they say, that's a theory. Keep it simple, stupid. KISS theory. Talk about things you got a firm grip on. That's effective. That's how you're effective. As you go on, as you learn more, and you get then you can talk about things more. But you can't just go outside and talk about things you don't understand it, you have a firm grip on it. Because all you do is hurt yourself and you hurt this message. And I'm not going to allow this message to be hurt in any form. So if you get out there and start talking, make sure you understand exactly what you're talking about, and you got a firm grip on that concept. Hope you understand, brother and sister. Assalamu alaikum.